few little quirks with my phone. I noticed a minute ago when I go to put, like, so I open the camera like I'm going to start recording, and it'll just start a countdown like it's a producer of my show or something, and it frustrates me sometimes. I'll have a number. I have like 8 videos that are 4 seconds long on my phone. It's really annoying. There must be a feature I have to fix. Don't bother emailing me. I'm going to look through it today. Here with my favorite wife, Amy McDonald. We're heading over to, we're going to Starbucks first, and then we're going to go to a breakfast place, and that causes her stress. One, she does not like to be looked at on Sunday. She works hard all week. I don't want you to look at me, breathe in my direction. I just want to read a book, maybe watch some TV, and unwind. That's Amy, which is fine. Many of you can probably relate. I'm more of a, what's the dogs, the Chihuahuas that wake up? I get up, it's sunny out. I love a nice sunny Sunday. I want to get up and go do something. Now the O'Briens are next week, so I have to go get fitted for a tux with Ollie. Now we did it the other day somewhat, but I want the right suit. And we're going back up there today. Taking Amy to the mall on Sunday, be like, hey, do you want to go to the dump and just sift through some garbage and see if we can find anything? That's kind of right along the same lines of a Sunday going anywhere with Amy, which is fine. I don't care. Anyway, we're on our way over to Starbucks, and the other reason for her stress level is, I know what it is. We're going to go to Starbucks, and then we're going to go to a restaurant. Now, you know when you walk into a place and you have a Starbucks, someone like, sorry, you can't take in food or drink, which is obvious. But, you know, most breakfast places, like, do you want a cup of orange juice or do you want a cup of coffee? No, I want the Starbucks I have in my hand. I'm happy to pay you for your breakfast. But when it comes to the drink options, I'm going to bring my own. And some places are kind of cool with that, and other places kind of look at you funny. And Amy gets it stressful, right? She gets really stressed out. The idea of bringing your drink to the restaurant concerns her. It doesn't concern me at all. So, a couple little points of contention on a Sunday for Amy. Now, I did make a video yesterday, but right in the middle of my 27-minute opening, Addie popped her head up to ask me if I farted. It's kind of cool. Yeah. I did not, actually. Knowing her, she probably walked through some dog crap or something, and I should check. No, it doesn't smell that. Ruined my whole video. It was bothering me all night. Tossed and turned right in the middle of a good video. So we've had a great week. Not a fantastic week. We had our low points. You know, I waited for months to watch Neptune race, and it was just about as anticlimactic as you could have it. It was so weird because usually Travis is pretty easy. You know, he goes out of there and looks like he's going to drop in the 4-hole, but then pushes onto the front, only to watch Scott Young remove there was like 4 horses bet down, one of the favorites, and then come first over on a horse that hasn't raced in this hemisphere ever and hasn't raced in 3 months. I thought it was really weird. And, you know, after I found out why, I forgot that James said he's pretty strong in the face. Usually the better Stolites are quiet, lazy, most of them. This guy's really warm. And they thought in the recall that they had that he might have actually shut his air off a little bit. And then again, coming off the car, he was really aggressive. So I think that took away from his overall race. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next week. Personally, you know, James wanted a mini bet on him, but James is not Travis. Travis is not James. If it's Anthony, I just wear a snake cord on him. And if he still wants to pull, I just put a dog chain on him. And that would be that for Neptune pulling and lugging. And he'd learn to behave. But there's a reason that James is the leading driver. The reason I'm going to get my fitted for my tux is because he's James McDonald. What is going on with all the beeping and stuff? And you know, I say this all the time to Harry. However James wants the horse hung up is fine. That's James. It's not the same way I would want to do things. I'd pick James. So put whatever you want on, whatever James wants on him. First off, get James on him, and whatever he wants on him is fine with me. So a lackluster race from him. Hopefully we'll have a good bounce back race next week. He did scope with about a 2 out of 5 for mucus and a couple of trickles of blood. That blood, now this horse came to North America because he was bleeding a little bit or showed signs that he could be a bleeder in Australia. You're not allowed to use Lasix in New Zealand or Australia, in Europe for that matter. So I don't think that blood was anything to even talk about. I'm pretty sure that it was simply just a matter of, indeed, there was some redness in his throat, so he did shut his air off, and that's likely where that blood came from, nothing more. So, but throughout the week, we've had a great week. I had to collect my thoughts a little bit because we had so many horses that were schooling and qualifying. Danny schooled Oh Hill No and High Hopes yesterday, and Dominic went with Bluebird Tuxedo Hill. Bluebird Tuxedo Hill went a mile in 2:06, and Dominic was happy with him. But to be fair, I've never seen Dominic unhappy with a horse. So Bluebird will probably need at least one more schooler and probably a couple of qualifiers. Oh Hill No sounds like she's ready to qualify, as is High Hopes. They both had raced before, where Bluebird had never seen the gate before. So I was happy to hear Danny talk so highly of Oh Hill No. He said he liked High Hopes and thought the other filly was a really, really nice filly. That seemed unnecessary. Which isn't surprising either. Oh Hill No historically has been a better filly than High Hopes. But to hear that they both came back good, they both trained down good, they both schooled good, and hopefully both going to qualify good is a good thing to hear. Arson schooled good yesterday also. Harry told me he went well. He didn't tell me how much he went, so that it's hard to gauge with Harry. If he didn't come forth with the number, and I didn't care. I know how fast Arson is, so I don't care. He could have went in 2-1. He could have went in 51. It wouldn't have mattered. He'll be in to qualify next week. He'll have to qualify once. I'm sure Harry will lobby for it twice. And considering where he's going to have to race when he starts, I guess it's not a bad idea. So that's a plan with Arson. We had a horse that had trouble getting qualified over the last 3 weeks that had trained down flawlessly. There's nothing more frustrating than having a horse train down perfectly and then have the horse flounder a little bit when he gets to the qualifiers and struggle. We had that problem with Lawmaker when he was 3, right? Remember, I broke my wrist and for no reason just run. He made a break. Was it Tiger? Oh, you're right. It was Tiger. It was Tiger. I had broke my wrist and Tiger had. He was prone to making breaks, but never really made breaks. And we had big plans for him at 3. You know, towards the end of the year, there was no breaks. He was second, beat in the final. He raced. Did he race in the Breeders' Crown at 2?
He broke his foot.
Right, he had a little line in his back foot. But he came back good and trained good. And then James went to qualify him and he ran. He ran twice, didn't he?
I think 3 times.
You might be right. That's probably right if you want to just pop in and grab it there. Oh, here. Throw that in the garbage while you're going to. How you doing? She's not a Sunday morning person. You know, if it's snowing and raining on Sunday, I just want to stay in bed too. But when it's and it's like, I don't know what the temperature is, 28, so it's close to 0. It's a beautiful day here. No wind, sun's out. Just a nice day to get out. Get out and go do stuff. But that view is not shared amongst the entire McDonald family. So, White Tiger made some breaks. Now, obviously, 2 very different situations, Century Legion and White Tiger. But, for a horse that trained down, this horse trained down with no head check, just a bridle and boots behind. That's it, and was perfect. Like, I trained him in like 2-4. And then for him to come out and make breaks, it was so frustrating to watch. And then I remember last year he had made breaks coming out of the turn with the hobbles on, even at Mohawk. He didn't on me, but I had him screwed down pretty tight. He did on James at least once, if not a couple of times. So I just want to make sure we got him right, and I think we're there. I think we got him right. I was really, really happy with the way he qualified, and he will be he'll be in a good spot for 8-hole. You know, normally we drew a bunch of 8 holes, which was disappointing this week. But the least of my worries is the 8-hole with Century Legion. It's not like he's come screaming off the car, but he's really quick off the gate too. And you're talking about maiden trotters, I'll likely be over kind of close with him. He trots the turns good, so you just gotta kind of let him come out of the gate in his own steam. As he approaches the turn, you'll see him kind of lean in a little bit, and then he'll accelerate. And most maiden trotters are the opposite, right? Come off the gate all right, you got to coddle them, get them into the turn, let them get their feet landed underneath themselves, and then advance as you will. By that time, I'm already gone with Century Legion. So I think that he's going to probably cross over close. He doesn't need to be on the front. In fact, I'd rather not be on the front. But I would like to be in a favorable spot. The last thing I want to do is get away 8th on a half-mile track with a horse like him. It would pose a problem. He can get fractious. You know, I guess we'll stay on that trend for the first part of this video. This week we had some of our bumpier horses race. International Man. His gait cleaned up a little bit this week. He was a little better, but should have got the job done and really didn't. I was a little disappointed. This is absolutely tremendous, by the way. Did you try yours yet?
Yeah, it's good.
I don't know who the barista is, David. We're sounding like those people. I don't know who the barista is today, but she's doing a tremendous job.
You are sounding like those people.
What happened? Your wrist? Oh, that's good. Irresistible Sun was better. Should have won. He's really kind of turned into a bit of a underachiever, but at the same time, he's in a class he's going to do good. When he gets out of that class, he can race in the one at Northfield up to 7 wins also and be fine. You know, he's been okay. He's been odd because we looked at him, we thought he was this hot, you know, hyper horse that would make breaks, really up our alley, and he turned out to be the opposite. We took the hobbles off of him. He's kind of, you know, kind of lazy looking on the track and doesn't really seem to put out, but does his work well and has been racing pretty well for the most part since we got him. And then Dancing by Myself, who's been bumpy, interfering. Geez, I thought we had his gait cleaned up really nice coming to the half. It looked like he was trotting well. And then just fizzled out. Now, Dominic thought it was the weather, and it very likely could have been. I really thought we were going to see some mucus and blood in his throat. None. Very small amount. Small amount of mucus, a couple of trickles of blood. But again, given the situation, I think the blood was secondary. It was caused by what else was going on. He got tired. He didn't think he tied up. His liver really hasn't been a problem in his life. So all signs do point to maybe it just being the weather and the track. Keep in mind, the race went in 2, 3, and 3 at Mohawk. I'd said this before. How many times you see that happen? So that maybe the track was really bad and he was just slipping. And then we get to the bumpiest of all, the gold medal bumpy gaited horse of the week and maybe of the last decade, Trevino on Green. I've been back and forth with Patricia, who's one of our clients and an old horse person, you know, loves the horses, been around them forever, much like myself, but a little bit older. And she was asking, you know, what we were doing with Trevino. Now, the way we went about the email was, you know, she had asked me what he has on. I told her, she said she didn't like those shoes, which is actually a normal response if you didn't know the history of Trevino on Green. Now, for those of you who don't know, and maybe you're older horsemen out there and wondering yourself, up front, he's aluminum shoes. Not common for trotters. You know, and a lot of the older horsemen think, you know, you got to put weight on them to get that gait up. You can't force a daisy cutter to have a big square gait. It just doesn't work that way. And we were trying to play to what strengths he had while we were trying to work on his inefficiencies. And I use that word a lot this year because it works very well. His inefficiencies in his gait. The forging is a real problem. And I had an older horseman message me and said it's not hard to fix forging. Maybe in 2.6, but I can assure you in 58 and 59, it is an incredibly difficult thing to fix. And when we qualified Trevino on Green, I didn't think he was that bad because he went in 2.5 and 2. His first race, I told you he was bumpy as hell, but felt like it was more the half-mile track than anything else. But again, 2.4 and 4. He trotted in 2.1 and 4. It was the fastest last quarter of the race, which was embarrassingly slow in 31 and 1. But the track was very muddy and it was very windy, so really not that bad at all. And when it comes to this horse, aluminum's up front and behind is where we really had to get aggressive with him, right to where we had Casanova Hall. An Agbar with a side weight and a shim. So he's shimmed out. Shims are on the inside. And I know a lot of people say, just tip them out. What you do is you shear that wall off the outside so they're stood like this. But if that doesn't work, it's impossible to fix for at least a month, right? So what we'll do is you just put a shim on them and it tips them out. Kind of, it's the same theory. So he's shimmed out with a side weight and Agbar is behind. You can't get much more aggressive than that. And we could go back to and for those of you saying, try an aluminum behind. Everything that you're thinking of right now, I am confident in saying we've had on this horse. I think he's a big colt, he's immature, and he's got to grow up. He needs to get stronger. And the only way he's going to get stronger is work. And not jogging, right? Work, race work. Another one of our clients said, I wouldn't even put him in to go again if he looks that bad. Why? You think Ron Burke doesn't have any horses that look bumpy? You don't think other trainers don't have horses that look bumpy? We've worked incredibly hard on this colt, and quite frankly, the colt has worked incredibly hard also. He's got a great work ethic and a great attitude, and we're going to continue to race him, to put the muscle on him. I remember when we got Stay Close, he was forging bad. He was incredibly, he's got a whole other gear that this colt's never seen, maybe two, but he was forging bad. And I remember James and I talking about how we were going to tinker with his shoes and try and get him right and try and get him right and try and get him right. And I said, well, he didn't just start forging, right? And he's gone fast before. Why don't we just let him? Why don't we just let him work through it? Now, his shoes were different. He just wore a little longer full swedge behind, little borium on the toe, and he wore aluminum mushroom bars up front. The corners of his feet hurt him quite a bit. Flip-flops, he just interfered too much. It was constant. It just sounded, I said the other day, it just sounded like a drum set, right? And that's what Stay Close sounded like when we first got him. And I don't think I ever wore a mushroom bar on a horse before. And I can't think of why we put it on him originally to begin with. He might have blown a quarter crack in his foot. Stay Close, way back when. He might have blown a quarter crack, and we went to and we went to an aluminum because he wore light shoes up front.
That was when he was back in Ontario.
Yeah. And his hobbles were so tight back then, and now you couldn't wear them tight on him at all. But we put the aluminum, and we put the aluminums on him because we could manipulate his gait a little bit with a tighter hobble. He would go with a tighter hobble when we first got him. He would get tired out, but then as he gets stronger and stronger, we're talking into his 5-year-old year. He'd missed a year because he broke a hock.
It's interesting because that horse is long.
Yeah, Trevino on Green is long.
And he's been forging
forever. And the thing is his gait. He's got that long daisy cutter gait. But you have to work with his gait. You are not going to reinvent a horse's gait. It is impossible to do. And the people out there saying, no, you can do that. Sure, you can do it in 220. You can do it in 210. You can do it in 26, 25. When you start getting to 2024 race speed, you can't hide a horse's gait. You can't change the spots on a leopard. And you have to work with it. And I know there's going to be a lot of people out there saying, no, I don't agree. Well, that's great. But at the end of the day, as I said, every type of shoe you're thinking of, he's had on. He's had keg shoes on when he was young. Lots and lots and lots of weight. Pounded and pounded and forged and pounded. The best I've seen him speed-wise is the ugliest he is. Ugly equals fast with him. And we're going to continue to let him grow up and mature and fill out and put muscle on. And I think what you're going to see is a horse that looks better and better. It's going to be a baby steps, but it looks better and better and better. And I don't know where that is, but I can tell you right now, if we can get him 5% better right now, I can win a maiden. Then he'll go into the non-winners of 1 but 3 claimer. He'll stay in there and race his way through there. And what happens after about 10 or 12 starts, then you're going to start to see what he is. Does he have enough speed? Is his gait starting to clean up? Or is he just a mailman waiting to be sold to the Amish? I don't know. But I'm not going to give up on the horse because he's not giving up on himself. That's the one thing about horses that usually forge and interfere. They just run. They get angry and sour and they start making breaks. And this guy just puts his head down and gets his work done. So I'm going to continue to help him. So that's where we're at with those 3 horses. Cadeau was a little bit slower than I'd like to see. I would say his full-time employment in the barn is in jeopardy if he continues to race like that. I know there's a little bit better horse in there, and I know there's going to be people say, you're going to give Trevino on Green 5 or 6 or 10 or 12 starts, but you're not going to give Cadeau those starts. Cadeau doesn't have the same inferiorities that the other horse does. He doesn't have the same things he has to work through. He's not as strong as Trevino. He doesn't have the same great work ethic. He doesn't have a bad work ethic. But underneath the surface, really what it's got to boil down to, is he fast enough? Is he going to be an effective horse? I don't know. I have no idea. And he's not talking. So we're going to have to wait and see together. I'm not giving up on him. I'm going to race him 2-3 times. But if it's 2-5, 2-4, 2-5, well, it'll be 2-4, 2-5 in someone else's barn.
We need to get birch bits, by the way.
We've none?
I don't know where they go.
Well, we have a lot of them in use. And we never used to use any of them. Just
I hate
and
that store's closed today. This is like the only day I want to go there.
Big D's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. They think they lose a lot of money not being open on Sundays. I tell you that. But that's not where you want to go for birch bits. Buck, I bet you Buck has 35 birch bits in his barn. Well, Every old horseman will have a ton of them. So we, the hills, the horses that we have right now, a lot of them are hogging down on their checks, and it's just the transition, right? It's a process that you see them go through. You can put the check bits on them and hang their heads up. I don't like doing that. I like them to behave and not look to lean and fight. And we will use some birch bits right now. So the birch bits are just a single bit. They have the little spike in the middle, so they can't really hog down on the head check.
Just puts pressure on the roof of their mouth.
A little bit, yeah. And it is a decent tool, especially this time of year, to get them away from hogging on their head checks. We get a couple of horses there that have Crit Davises on right now. We have some that have none, some that have chin straps on. If their head check's just loose and aren't laying on it, a lot of the times they still have the
most of our still just have them.
Yeah, so you have the old colt bit, right? The piece of leather that goes underneath and it's attached to the head check, and you put it on. It's perfect, a wonderful tool. We didn't have a lot of them, and what you used to do for the horses that don't lay on their head checks, usually just hook the head check up to their snaffle bit. They don't use it anyway, and it's not a big deal. It's when they start hogging down on there, it becomes a little bit of a problem. Usually you go to a chin strap or a check bit, just a normal straight check bit is fine for most of them, but 5% of them you might need something a little more severe, and we'll go to a birch bit, and then if they get a little more grabby from there, they'll end up with a Crit Davis on for a while. But usually, more times than not, by the time we get to the summer, you're back to a check bit anyway with the horses. They learn to respect it. So Dancing by Myself, Trevino on Green, and International Spy, the trifecta of the triangle of bumpiness. International. Oh no, that's not his name. That's the old horse we had. International Man. Yeah, International Man. He was bumpy too, that horse. International Man. The triangle of bumpiness. We'll see if we'll clean all those guys up and continue to work with them. But we did have a great week. I'll be honest. I'm looking at the list of the horses that won and did well. Some of them I expected to win and do well. The horse that jumps off the page at me that was surprising that he got the job done was Tenacious Hanover. Here's a horse that we bought to be in that consolation, right? He pays like 51, 52, but he looked like he was always chasing better horses. And when we got him, bone bruise in his left hind. We still work on it. Jason's done a hell of a job. Who takes care of Tenacious? I think it's Cordon and Kaylee, doesn't it? Isn't it?
Is that a pacer?
Yeah. They're doing a hell of a job with that horse. That was as sound as he's ever been, and as game as he's ever been the other night. It might have only been a mile and 58 at Northfield Park, but that was the best race he's ever gone for us. That horse, you can never leave hard with him. The one night he stuck his toes in at the Meadows when I left with him. And I was 3 wide around the first turn with him the other night in an absolute freeze. It was minus 25 minimum.
I took a picture. The track conditions
was frozen. Somebody else said that to me. It was frozen, and it was very, very cold. And 3 wide around the first turn, and when he made front, I'm like, this isn't going to end well. This horse doesn't race tough on the front end. But I knew that the only 2 horses to beat were behind me. They both used themselves up as much or more than I did. I guess as much getting to the front. And, I just thought that I saw a message come up. I just thought that when he made front, he would be okay. And as soon as I touched down on the front, you can tell as a driver if the horse just feels better, feels comfortable, feels good where he is. And he did feel good. Coming to the half, felt very strong. Starting down the backstretch, very strong. Horse come first over. I knew it was Corey Kreiser's horse. He was an outside type horse, but good enough. The horse to beat was still behind me. The main danger was still on my helmet. Halfway around the last turn, still felt good. And as we come to that lane, he kicked forward. I don't think I'd ever seen him race like that on the front end. I thought the horse, definitely an improvement. And he was very, very good. It's not that anybody did anything special. I just think that everything was done perfect this week. And the horse felt good. And I'm surprised on as you said, a frozen track that horse would put out the way that he did. But that's exactly what he did. Irresistible Son, I expected him to race well, and he did. He raced very well. He was up to win. I think this horse will eventually head to the Open at Northfield Park. I hope he is. Anyway, I hope he will. My biggest thing was, I think I dropped the ball a little bit this week. He should have been in the class that Memory and Imaginations is in, and Memory and Imagination should have been in the Nommers at 3,500. That was that was my bad. That was my fault. He'll have to wait till next week to race in the backup class, which is fine. We're still keeping him at home rather than shipping him all over the place again. Yo Mister was a winner. Yeah, the horse in the front made a break, but I still thought Brett was still loaded in a way that Yo Mister probably could have easily got there anyway. Maybe not. Who knows? But he did. And then Lover's Play has never been a spectacular horse unless you know her, unless you know where she came from. Just so proud of this filly to race the entire year, and I think she ended up making 30,000, winning 58. It wasn't a fast horse, but I have to believe that some of that lack of overall speed is attributed to what was almost a catastrophic injury of her at 2. And I always tell you guys, I'm always going to be interested in, and this will play itself out very soon, breeding the mares that wanted to be good horses, that did the best they could and put an honest effort on the track. And you couldn't find a more fair spokesman for that than Lover's Play. So she is going to be bred to international money. She's heading out to the field tomorrow. Rock Shining Star is going to get 3 weeks off, and we're going to bring 3 Point Blue Chip back over to Northfield. There's no need for him to be at the Meadows right now. He's likely going to race at Miami Valley, and if we can find a spot for him at Mohawk, then potentially there. But for right now, he's going to stay right here at Northfield Park. And then Memory and Imagination raced great the day after you parked to the 3/8. My wife was nice enough to point that out to me, that he was parked all the way to the 3/8. As I was trying to explain to her, allowing the 2 favorites to sit for, other than myself, to sit first and second and dictate the pace while I just sat back at the back of the bus just didn't seem like it was going to lead to the outcome that I wanted. So I opted to push the issue a little bit, pushed on with Memory and Imagination. He raced good. Tim and his vet found some issues with him that they're going to try to correct. First of the week. So Memory and Imagination, although he did draw the 8-hole, which is the outside again, this week he truly will be brought back to the back. A couple of horses aren't in there that are the front runners, and Aaron, who ended up beating me at the wire, drew just inside of me, will likely both race from off the pace this week, which means Memory and Imagination will get a good toe up into it. Texan Soprano was fantastic this week again. Megan's got him really, really good, this horse. And I want you guys to pay attention to what took place. You know, he had that slow start back to where it looked like he was a shadow of himself. He got down in the bottom class at Yonkers and then just exploded forward. And the horse has been fantastic ever since that first win in the bottom class months ago, or well over a month ago. He hadn't raced in a month, so 2 months ago. I thought the horse looked really, really good. And a horse that I thought also put in a pretty good effort, considering he was off 2.5 weeks, was Vehement. Just got beat, finished second. You know, he's one of those horses, I could see him getting better and better and better, and actually being a pretty good horse down the road. He's in the right class. He's in the right place. He's not getting taxed or pushed or you know, run into the ground. I think the horse is gonna be a decent horse. And I think most of that lies on the fact of where he came from, right? This is a horse that was a $325,000 yearling that somebody obviously took a real good bath on, but we ended up buying him for a fraction of that, and that fraction being about 5%. And he ended up being a pretty decent horse for us so far, and I think he'll come forward for us. I think he'll come forward. And the other reason I say this, because there's horse that trotted in 54 as a 2-year-old, but so did International Man. So you don't know. You never know. Now, today on tap, Sunday, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Today on tap, we have Save America, Greatest Ending, Time Is On My Side. I'm really excited to race Time Is On My Side tonight. His return to Northfield. Obviously, this is a horse that could be prepped and raced in the Battle of Lake Erie. Was never known for his half-mile prowess, well, until he was asked, right? This is a horse that his first start ever on a half-mile track, maybe the first speed he's ever seen on a half-mile track, was in the Milstein last year from the rail, and he certainly dazzled there. He looked great. I was thoroughly pleased with the way he raced and the way the race turned out. And this will be his second start back on a half-mile track. So intrigued to see how Time does tonight. Greatest Ending, Save America races today. And then tomorrow, another trifecta of some speed here. JK Victory at Miami Valley, Mounds for All, and Drebin Tuesday. The horses I'm watching this week, Tenacious Hanover is in again. Is he in the same class? He's 8-5. So, and Rosetta, I know they got Rosetta 12-1. Don't sleep on Rosetta. She's a very good filly that we've been working to get her away from touching her shin. She's been plenty tight, qualified good, trained back good again last week. I think she'll be fine in a maiden at Northfield Park. And early play race good again last week. They don't have the Wednesday starts up. I just know that Century Legion's in for sure. A horse that I'll be watching very closely. And if you're thinking he might need a start, no, he won't. He won't need a start at all. He'll be raced on Wednesday, and I expect him to be very good Wednesday evening. I also know Wednesday afternoon looks like money drew the outside in what I believe it's a handicap. I don't know. He drew the 7-hole in what will be the open trot. And Memory and Imagination drew the 8-hole outside in his race. 2 outside posts for us on Wednesday. So we had a great week last week. The babies were good. Any highlights? The ones you went with?
That Pacing Philly.
Oh, she's okay now? It was funny. It was funny because
I just told you I didn't get along with
but
her.
it's even funny to watch the progression of the horses even in through the eyes of Amy or the people that train them. You know, you see a filly, she made some breaks, she was hanging on a line, she was just not quite herself yet. And maybe she wouldn't be. We don't really know what that self is. And then last week was a real breakout mile. I trained her on Tuesday. It was cold that day. I trained her on Tuesday, and then she went under the video on Saturday, but she was way tighter than the other pacers, but just blew them out of the water and looked very good doing it. And then I'd asked Amy if she wanted to go, and then she goes, she's lazy, and I don't know if I get along with her, and just plowed right through us yesterday and made everybody look funny yesterday. She was, Perfect Thought was impressive. I'm thoroughly impressed with that filly. I like everything about her. I just think she's a super talented filly. And I'm going to first watch. First. Do you like?
Don't watch this lady.
Oh, babe, she's walking and she's 70. I'm not going to drive over her. I mean, I could have, but she's going to get out of the way. First watch? You don't care? Perfect Thought is the queen of the castle right now. I think #1 overall. There's some trotters that looked incredible. The filly that I've been touting for a while, I finally got to go with her again the other day, and she just looked super impressive. You know what I'm talking about. Blue Rare. I think Blue Rare is not a rare horse. She's a very, very, very nice filly. And all of those horses across track. Judy's Money was right there, and so was Go Strong Hanover. 3 horses I've been talking about for a few weeks, and 3 of them were sprinting at the wire. You had made a break with Bobby in there. When she got bottled up.
We were flying on the end of it.
Yeah, you and who's the other?
Jailbird Jog.
Jailbird Jog.
We just got a little out of sorts when Neuromancer run.
Yep.
What did he do? Pull up a little bit?
That's what Eric alluded to, but I've never seen him pull up. But it's not
That's
being
where they
along the
do it,
rail.
though.
But being along the rail is not the same as being too wide getting into the turn. They're starting to square themselves up and accelerate. And plus, he's got that bar shoe on behind. I don't know if he's touching or not. I have no idea. But we'll see soon enough. I'm not worried about Neuromancer.
I think, well, the only reason I run is because she hasn't been wearing that snake cord very long. And she's very sensitive.
Yeah, well, they all are. But, you know.
No, some of them don't care.
Yeah, you're right. Some of them don't care. But most of them do get a little sensitive with the snake cord. And Jailbird Jog also had one on, and she was...
oh, right. That was probably the same reason.
That's exactly right. And she was very, very good also. So I was thoroughly impressed with that entire set of horses. I went through it quick the other day, but I guess I'll finish off my video by going through the sets. Now, maybe you can chime in also, because I just want to talk about the horses that were perfect. Not the ones that looked like they could do it, not the ones that seemed pretty good.
I can really only speak
Perfect.
for the ones I went with.
No, there was other ones. My Name is Swaney was perfect.
Where was she?
She was in the first set. She plowed them right into the ground.
I'm way back. I don't know.
Who'd you have in there? Supermind. Oh, you made a break. She was perfect. Royal Duchess was good, but not perfect. But she was good. See how much better she trotted?
Yes, she did.
Because the problem is, she's the type of horse, everything has to be perfect for her to be perfect. You know what she reminds me of? Every time I go with her more and more and more and more, is globetrotting sister that I love so much. What was it? Coupe de Ville. She reminds me so much of Coupe de Ville. That's not even funny. I thought that was a parking spot, but it's not. I don't know why I thought I could get a parking spot over here. It's lunacy. But yeah, I just thought that she's just a really, really nice filly. I don't mean that she's a killer, because Coupe de Ville was never a killer. She was really good at 3, especially through the middle part of the season, but she was never a killer. And this filly just seems like my favorite type of horse, the meat and potato horse, is the ones that just go out and get it done. And that is how Royal Duchess seems to me. And much like Coupe de Ville, she has to be perfect. The gear, the shoeing, the track, everything has to be in her favor. And if it is, she looks really, really good. But this list today is about the horses that just look great no matter what. My Name is Swaney and Uncle Danny were layovers in the first set.
She better behave with that
Who?
stuff on.
Swaney?
Yeah.
Psst, perfect. I said to Tyler, I said, how is she? He goes, unbelievable how much she's changed. First video, wandering all over the place, couldn't do anything right. She wears a head pole on the left now. She wears a Crit Davis and a snake cord.
Yeah.
And Tyler said, 2 fingers. I said, well, she got a snake cord. And he goes, oh, well, I wouldn't change anything. He just moved her over, and she just blasted them.
Yeah, and she
got
was,
hot.
Yeah,
and she's a Heston. They all get like
they
that.
do.
I think every Heston blue chip we ever had wore a Crit Davis and a snake cord. Every single one of them. Blue Ventura, Crit Davis and a snake cord his whole life. The good little horse that we sold down in Delaware 2 years ago. Now you know.
Yeah.
That horse, whatever his name is, snake cord, Crit Davis. They all had it. Anyway, those 2 horses are perfect from the first set. Second,
Danny was good.
He was awesome. I just said Uncle Danny, my name. He's been amongst, and somehow he finds a way to be quietly one of our best when he's been one of our best since day one. Every week, this horse is awesome. Every week. And didn't even wear a boot yesterday.
Yeah.
Nothing. And he was perfect. Second set, everybody was good. Yes, Neuromancer made a break. Don't really care about that. Jailbird Jog made a little break, and so did you when you get bottled up. Other than that, everybody was perfect. I just think that Blue Rare...
Oh, I thought he run.
Actually, he might have run late in the stretch. Had to know. He might have made a break. He just let him. We were, like the last 16th, we were flying. And I think he just over-trotted himself. Blue Rare...
Oh, God, here we go.
No.
This is the green glitter of this year.
No. Green Glitter... hold on. To be fair, every time I talked about Green Glitter last year, I told everybody, I just don't know where her ceiling is. How many times have I said that? And it wasn't as deep as I wanted. It wasn't as high as I wanted it to be. And she ended up being just a so-so horse. Blue Rare, I am not worried about her ceiling. Muscle mass, worried about her knees, worried about her staying sound, worried about her breathing in the heat in the summer, not worried about her ceiling. This is a really, really talented filly. Everybody in there was good. Every horse in there, that was some of the best trotters we have this year in that set. Neuromancer, Jailbird Jog, Go Strong Hanover, Judy's Money, Had to Know, Blue Rare, and Rose Run Bobby. All of those horses are tremendous. I'm just trying to think of the sale prices. Neuromancer was 65, Jailbird was 52, Go Strong was 10. And I almost got him for 5 or 7. Judy's Money was, what you paid for? 12? You paid that much for her? 12? Okay. Had to Know was 20.
I don't remember him.
I do. He was 20. He was, you know what he was? I remember him coming at us. He had that big white blaze on his face. I said, look at this bugger coming. And we went and looked at him. I said, he's a Marseille. You know, we had the 2 last year. Little, not back in his knees, but straight up and down. And I said, geez, he's a nice horse. We were looking for a trotting colt for around 20 grand, and that's exactly what he went for. He fit perfectly in our shopping bag as we were leaving. And then Blue Rare was like 30-something, 32.
Yeah, you bought her the day I left.
Yeah, I was actually bought her. Steve was in the ring when he bought Lifting Legend. I stayed over in the bar. I was just having a drink over where all the fans are, stuff across from where we stand at Lexington. And I was sitting on the couch, and she was going to go through the ring, and I just walked over and I bought her. She went for next to nothing. I thought she'd bring 65 or 70, but the muscle masses were a little undervalued last year, which I don't know why, but this is a very strong
competition now. That's why.
Yeah, but talking about families, Blue Rare's family was very, very good. And Rose Run Bobby, that was you and Randy wanted her. What did we pay for her? A little bit more than I thought we had to. 17 or 18? Does that sound about right?
I thought around 20, so yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Everybody in that set was good. I trained Sweet Lake on Tuesday. I thought she trained like a monster. Joey struggled a little bit with her yesterday. But again, we were moving right along. Hanger won. The thing I like about Hanger, he's fast and he's competitive. He likes to do his work. His gait was much better yesterday. We chopped all the heels off him, remember? We can back in his toes. He had way better gait yesterday, but he was still really hot. So, but that's fine. He just had a snake cord in.
His back feet are like...
They're little contracted. You just got to keep opening them up. That's all you got to do.
Is that why you have the egg bar on?
I have the egg bar on to slow him down because he was mauling himself. Even his brother, as fast as he was, would make breaks in odd places. He would interfere. Now, we're training him down at Northfield Park. I believe if we screw this guy down, he'll end up being a good horse, but it's pretty hard to knock anything they did with Go Dog Go. The horse made a ton of money and was just a very, very good horse. So,
he's still getting gelded, though.
oh yeah, he's getting castrated right away. I think this horse will learn to be an effective horse. But the more you get to watch horses that are good, and when you put them in a place to excel, and you have great drivers driving them and putting them in right places, a horse like Go Dog Go could have just as easily been a bust last year. But he ended up being a great horse because of the way he was driven all year. Whether it was, I think Andy drove him a little bit, Dexter drove him some, all those great drivers drove him and just put him in a right spot to do the right thing. And he ended up, I don't know how much money he made. You're going to look it up quick on your phone. It was a lot. I would bet you it was $300,000-$400,000. So Hanger 1, very fast. I like his attitude. Going to castrate him, just get him to tone it down a little bit. But his gait is starting to clean up, and that's the most important thing. Perfection Hanover, I love this horse. Said to Amy, train him Wednesday, watch him next Saturday. We get 2 strong training trips into him. Yesterday and Wednesday, watch him next week and see how he goes. Capistrano Knight's just going to pull those hobbles in. We're getting away from the perfect list. The perfect list, the second set was great. My Name is Swaney was great. Hanger 1 was not perfect. I can't put him on the list, but he was super powerful and won the set. Perfection Hanover has been perfect. Tomboy Strong, I said to Jason, work her hard. Did you see her?
Yeah, she looked good.
Blasted everybody.
How was he? I didn't see him.
He was in behind us. He was good, Royal Flush Deal. I went with Leland. He was awesome, too. I had some concerns because Amy had said Leland's really lazy jogging. And I didn't know how he'd be. I don't want him to be lazy and you got to pick and chop. And I just want him to do his work. I just asked him a couple of times. He was awesome in the mile. I was thoroughly impressed. Keep in mind, this is a captain.
Warmed him up pretty hard, too.
This is the Captain Treacherous brother to Better's Wish. You
Is
got
it
high
like dog, like D-O-G or D-A-W-G?
No, dog. Go Dog Go is his name.
Wasn't sure if it was like gangster or regular.
No, D-O-G, yeah, Go Dog Go. And Leland Hanover, I just...
422.
Yeah,
but that would be Canadian, right?
Yeah, so he made 285, 250, something like that, US. Just a really good horse. But it was all, he was in the right place at the right time, the right conditions. They do such a great job training their horses. And then to have the world-class drivers on the horse, too. Yeah, much like Maury, right? The way Scott drove him all year, and then, he's 6-1, gets out and sets a world record. Well, that's a world-class driver driving a horse that's prepared. Eric and Kathy had the horse very good. Scott drove the horse perfect. But that's what happens sometimes. And that's important as we start talking about staking of the horses. If we're just going to be super conservative and frugal with all the horses, we're not going to get a chance to race in those races. But you don't want to go overboard. So, this is a very difficult time of year. And it's only the start. Obviously, as you get closer to March 15th, now you have a better idea. In April 15th, a better idea. But you never truly know, right? Anyway, we're at 2 different paths. Staking's another day. Right now is the perfect list. So Leland Hanover, thoroughly pleased, but he did make a break.
So you put 1 horse on there?
No, virtually the entire set.
No, set 4. Don't go back up there.
Set 4, Tomboy Strong was perfect and has been perfect. I just talked about Leland Hanover, but really those 2 are the only ones that are perfect in there. Perfection Hanover, perfect. No one else in there gets it perfect. Hanger 1 was awesome, but was not perfect.
No, you don't. Keep going down.
Almost
you don't
everybody.
Need to recap 6 times.
Whoa. Perfect Thought was everybody in that set. Solidarity. We're fine. We'll take the flip flops off him and tighten his hobbles up a little bit for the next month. But those flip flops, I'd like to see them go back on him. He's got a high gait and he hits the ground hard. I really like this horse. He's always in the hunt and always looking to come forward, but his confidence is at a low where he makes breaks. Perfect Thought was the high bar of the barn right now is Perfect Thought. Everybody in that set was great, though. Rico Tubbs has really done nothing wrong. We just don't talk about him very often. Maybe it's because I picked him out. I don't know. Maybe that's why. But Eric asked me, he says, is this guy going to be paid into a bunch of stuff? I said, I don't know. Is that yours? No, that's mine. He said, is he going to be paid into a bunch of stuff? I said, I don't know. He goes, this is a really nice horse, which was surprising. I only give like 12 for him, didn't I, Rico? I
thought like 10.
Yeah, you might be right. Elisa Hanover pounded everybody in there. I told Steve this horse got a lot of talent, a lot of speed.
He's going to say, of course, when the video wasn't there.
Oh, yeah, probably, I guess. Tyler said, what a race car. And I said, yeah, she's been good. I said, she's a sister to a filly that was one of the better fillies last year, at least to Hanover, right? That beautiful chestnut filly by International Money that wheeled off, 10 or 12 in a row and was third in the Breeders' Crown, I think. That's her sister, and she trots perfect. Just a beautiful filly. And the last set, just a set to go around, really. And Captain Doolittle, who'd been making breaks, I was happy with him. I can see what we have to do with Doolittle to help him, and we'll continue to. Cherry's Girl and Steady Volo both have those curbs to get crowd. They were both great. Cherry's Girl did make a break, but I think Tyler was just asking to advance. And I told everybody, neutral. I want everybody in neutral.
It's gotta be her idea too.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's a filly. Yeah. This time of year, what happens with a lot of these horses, especially the fillies, once you start to put that work into them and they get stronger, they start to feel better, they start to feel good about themselves, then you start to see them really start to come forward. You see their best foot. A lot of these trotting fillies, especially with these big, long gaits, April, May, that's when you really start to see them shine. Steady Volo jogged. He was awesome again. Cherry's Girl was good, but did make a break. Joe J. Fotag, hobbles first time ever, but they were way too tight. But she ended up looking good. Jason, he's rocking about, 240? And he was just bouncing down the lane. He pulls up and he goes, hobbles might have been a bit tight. I said, yeah, they were. And I'm just joking, but the hobbles were a little tight, but she did her work well. The filly that I like the most, Love Sensation, Eric was hard on her, finishing up the mile. And he pulled up and he goes, she's just making these little breaks for no reason. I said, well, Eric, we did put screws in her 5 weeks ago, so there's that. And he goes, oh, right. He said she was good otherwise. He'd just be going along, put a little step in. I said, yeah, she's just going to have to learn. But she looked very good. She got a sweet gait when she's trotting quick. She looked very good. So overall, the only horse that didn't go yesterday was the horse that could have went. I just don't want to train him until we get him castrated. Sterling Hanover. I don't want to train him until we get him castrated. That's fine. He didn't need to go.
I trained him I trained him by himself.
Oh, there you go. And every single other horse went and trained yesterday. So everybody's catching up. I want to see the very same thing happen on Wednesday. I don't think I'm in late until late on Wednesday afternoon. So Wednesday, weather permitting,
We're not there Saturday, so I don't know unless you want to go once.
Oh, good call. Tuesday, we'll go Tuesday slow, and back Friday. Good call, Amy. Because Saturday we are in Ontario for our party, our open house, our night out with our friends.
Friday night or Saturday night?
It's Saturday night, I believe. Okay. But we'll go over Friday afternoon.
Yeah, okay.
I want to go to the barn Saturday morning anyway. I want to train Chicago Hall and the other filly, Resolve Indeed. I want to train them on Saturday morning. And see the babies go also. Simply Chaotic. I want to see how he is. Dune and Lifting Legend. I want to see them. So a big weekend planned for next week, but that's perfect. Tuesday, Friday, we're going to go with the babies this week. We'll look to video them Friday if we can. If the weather is good and we can get them videoed Friday, that's exactly what we're going to do for you. So there you have it. No fart videos at all. No.
I bet you everyone would have laughed if you had posted that video.
It just annoyed me and she did it. She just picked it up and she goes, did you fart?
Because you were afraid everyone thought that you did.
No, well, maybe, yeah. I guess subconsciously. No, it's just, and plus there was stuff I missed in the video. I wanted to talk more about the babies. I wanted to talk about who shone yesterday, who looked good. Because people want to hear about that stuff, right? Your horses are not always going to look great. I can tell you the 5 worst horses yesterday if you want. But nobody's effort this week, really, truthfully, in the barn, left me saying, oh, Jesus, what are we going to do with this horse? Not one. So happy with the babies, happy with the way the horses are racing, eager to see everybody qualify in Ontario and getting closer to qualifying in Ohio. It's going to be a real fun February, everybody, and it's about to start this week. So with that, I'm going to let you go. Take care. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend and your sunny Sunday. Hope you are having a wonderful Sunday wherever you are. Take care.